I think we took a step forward in our game against Fresno State relative to the season opener in a lot of different areas. Number one, defensively we played a lot better. Defended the run like we're supposed to. Really started out fast on defense. I think it was 5 consecutive 3-and-outs, 4 or 5 consecutive 3-and-outs that our defense was able to generate, which really allowed the offense to get untracked early, and we jumped on early and never looked back. And so that was a positive. Only real glaring negative of the game was when we pulled the first defense, the second D, sloppy play, both from a schematic standpoint as well as a penalty standpoint. So that was a little bit disappointing to not see some better things out of the second defense. But otherwise, like I said, a positive day. Special teams was solid again. Tom punted the ball extremely well. Andy Phillips, except for the one kickoff that went out of bounds, did a nice job. Return games, we didn't get much going in the return games like we had the week before, but still, it was good special teams play overall, and a good win. You know, we needed it to get the win, and we did. And now we're in the bye week, focusing on Michigan. Obviously, we don't play them until about 12 days, but we'll start getting ready this week for that game. So questions?
We did talk about Tom Hackett a little bit. Obviously, he got the Ray Guy Player of the Week award, and he's obviously turning the field, like you said the other day.
He is. He's doing a great job flipping the field. I think we're second in the country in net punt right now, and really primarily due to Tom and the way he's punting the football. We gave him the player of the game in the locker room after the game, just prior to us knowing that he was the Ray Guy Player of the Week. But he's been a weapon through 2 games. We hope it continues. We need it to continue. You know, and I applaud the rest of the punt team. It's not just Tom. You know, the snapper and the coverage and everything that's going on there has been solid. But Tom has stood out, and it's good to see him be recognized nationally and well deserved.
And then Travis Wilson is second in the nation pass efficiency. Can you talk about that?
That's good too. I didn't realize that stat, but he's had 2 good outings where he's very efficient with the ball. You know, the numbers as far as yardage hasn't been enormous, but what he's done with his throws has been very, very good. And number 1 above everything he's done is take care of the football, and that's something that we need to have continue as well.
Coach, I know you've got a daunting schedule ahead of you. How much have you learned from these first 2 games against Idaho State and Fresno State?
I think quite a bit. You know, we've learned that our 2 kickers are great weapons for us. We've learned that the offense has been completely embraced and executed by the offensive players to the point where we feel like it's hopefully going to be a positive for us the rest of the year. We'll find out, but through 2 games, it looks very positive. Defensively, it was good to get Brian Blecken back, and him and Tevin Carter doing a nice job at the safety spot. We're doing some good things on defense. There's some detail things that need to be cleaned up on defense. That's very apparent through 2 games. Even though our numbers were a lot better against Fresno, we still had a lot of things that can be made cleaner and need to be improved upon, or will get exploited in the upcoming schedule, with the upcoming schedule.
What would you attribute the sloppy play of the second defense to?
Oh, good question. I mean, it was across the board. It wasn't, we didn't tackle real well. We didn't get lined up correctly too often. Too often we were misaligned. The penalties, coverage was not good. It was just across the board, and we got to, by the flip side of that is those reps hopefully will be valuable for those guys, and they'll learn from them, and it'll make them better players down the road. But it was. Just really, I really can't point out anything positive about the second defense. It just didn't perform very well.
How did your secondary grade out, and more specifically, how did you feel like Dominique Hatfield performed in his first start?
Secondary graded well. We were in good position. They did get a few balls on us, and we had a couple PIs, 2 or 3 PIs, but we play aggressive in the secondary, and that's just the nature of how we play, a lot of man-to-man coverage. Dominique Hatfield was a big positive. We think that he's going to be a guy that can really become an exceptional corner. He's still in the learning phases and still gaining experience. But what he did on Saturday with his first start and his first opportunity to be a full-time defensive back, we're very pleased with.
Coach, talk about takeaways, if you would. You're not really getting that many this year.
Yeah, we haven't got very many at all, but the biggest issue is the turnover margin, which we were +1 in the game against Fresno, but we, as I said, the last weekend, now this week, if we're going to be able to accomplish some things in the Pac-12, then we've got to start getting takeaways, and that, again, is something we work on every single day, and we just need those to start coming our way. And if we continue to hustle and do things right, then we think that'll happen.
You're number 1 in the country in tackles for loss and number 2 in sacks. What are you seeing from your defense, and have we seen everything from the defense as far as blitzing packages or whatever that may be?
Well, first of all, those are 2 good stats through 2 games. It's only 2 games, but off to a good start. Last year, we led the nation in sacks, I believe, through the regular season. Once the bowl season was over, we were no longer number 1. But as far as regular season, we were able to get to the quarterback, and it appears like we got a group this year that's able to do the same thing. Nate Orchard is obviously the headliner of that group and the guy that gives us great pressure off the edge. The tackles for loss is a product of good defensive line play and linebackers getting downhill, which they did a lot better job of on Saturday. And what was it?
Are we going to see any more blitz packages?
Blitz package. Oh yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot that we have not shown yet, and it's blitzes are really a week-to-week thing. We have a couple new blitzes every single week of the season based on the opponent and what we think we can try to take advantage of. And so you'll see the blitz packages become more exotic as the season wears on, just like we do every year. We have a pretty good dose of pressure that we show to our opponents week in and week out.
Following up on that same line of thought, you mentioned in the post-game comments that Nate would be a linebacker at the next level. What are you looking to do with Nate this year? Can he fill in for what Trevor did for you guys last year? What exactly are you guys looking to get out of him this year?
I think that's exactly what we hope to get out of him is do the things that Trevor did for us. Some weeks it's as a defensive end, some weeks it's as a linebacker, most weeks it's going to be a little of both. But what Trevor gave us for the last couple of years, 3 years, is exactly what we think Nate's going to be able to do for us this year. And it's you got to be smart. You don't want to. Nate's strength, his main strength right now is his pressure off the edge, his pass rushing ability off the edge, and so we don't want to take him out of that position very often. But there is a time, there are going to be times, as there was last week, where we do utilize him and drop him off into coverage, and particularly if offenses start sliding the line his way and trying to account for him in protection. Then if we drop him off, it's almost a wasted effort on the offense's part to try to protect where he is, and then it frees up somebody else on the other side. So short version is, yeah, we're going to try to do with him exactly what we did with Trevor last couple of years.
Kyle, obviously everybody wants to get 3 and outs when you're out there, but to start a game with 5 3 and outs defensively, is 3 and outs something you guys track? Are you ahead of the game as far as that's concerned? And does that help negate, obviously, takeaways if you can get teams 3 and out?
Well, it should negate takeaways, but that is our objective. Our objective is to try to get off the field within 3 and out, and conversely with the offense, we do have goals on both sides of the ball, and offensively we have goals to not go 3 and out. I mean, that's part of the deal is essentially third down. If you lose third down, it's a mini turnover, I guess you could say, because you got to give the ball up or allow a drive to continue if you're on defense. So that's always a critical part of being a quality team is third downs, third down conversions, all that type of stuff. And to get the 3 and outs, you got to be good on third down. Or to get the drives extended on offense, you got to be good converting third downs. So 3 and outs is a point of emphasis, as well as third downs in and of themselves.
And have you determined who might start on your offensive line for Michigan?
Yeah, they did a great job coming in and filling in for Cioce and Junior. Both of them graded out well and really didn't make any errors. And we'll see what happens for Michigan. It's still too early to make that determination.
You got 12 days to Michigan, but they're a desperate team. They've got a game this week.
Well, we don't look at it in those terms. We just look at the film and evaluate their personnel, evaluate their schemes, and build everything upon that. The other things that you mentioned are kind of in the peripheral and or in the background, and we don't put any emphasis on that. We just look at the X's and O's and what we can do offensively to try to move the football, and what we need to do defensively to try to slow their offense down. And so we know one thing for sure is they got a lot of good players. There's no doubt about that, and their size and their physicality is very good. What we've started studying them already, and so we're impressed by their personnel. And they had a rough go against Notre Dame. Notre Dame got after them pretty good, but we're sure that they're going to rebound. And they play this week. They play one more game before they play us. So we'll have another chance to evaluate that film, after this weekend. But they've got all our attention, just like Fresno did, just like every team on the schedule will. And we just go through our system and our process of preparation the same way every week.
Is it harder to game plan for a team that loses that badly, or does it give you some areas to look at as that's how Notre Dame did it and that's how we can effectively stop them?
A little of both. It doesn't make it, I shouldn't say a little of both, doesn't make it hard because you're looking at the scheme and the plays themselves. The outcome, whether or not they made the play to be successful or not, is entirely different subject than just getting yourself set up in position to make plays and try to get stops or try to move the football on offense. Notre Dame game, they struggled. Notre Dame's a very good football team. They got after them, but what we do is just look at the pure mechanics of the offense and the defense, as well as the personnel matchups. That's another huge part of game planning is your guy against their guy, what you feel is the strengths of their team, and as opposed to the strengths or weaknesses of your own team. And so that's what goes into game planning.
Do you expect to have Gianni Paul back for Michigan?
We sure hope so. That's unknown at this time as well. I think we're on the verge of getting him back, but we don't know. As we sit here right now, that's a question mark.
How did you guys fare as far as health is concerned in the last game?
We got some bumps and bruises. We got some guys that are a little bit banged up, and in that respect, the bye comes at a good time. But we'll see how things go in this week off and how much healing can take place.
Michigan has recruited in this area and gotten a couple good recruits out of this area. Is it kind of nice to have a chance to go head-to-head and be able to say, hey, this is what we can do against this team that's recruiting against us?
Well, you always want to play the best, the competition you can. Our schedule this year certainly lends itself to that. We will have those opportunities every week, playing great football teams and good football teams. And Michigan, with their tradition, I know, again, you go back to last week, and they're very disappointed. It wasn't typical Michigan football, but our guys are particularly excited about the schedule this year and the challenges that await, and it starts right now this week with Michigan, or next game with Michigan.
Just a shade over 50% on third down conversions through 2 games. Any concern there? What's the game plan?
That's awesome. If we can be 50% on third downs, we're in great shape. That'll lead the country or be in the top 10 at the end of the year, and so that would be something that would be outstanding. Defensively, offensively, if you can be 50%, approaching 50% or better, that's really good. Defensively, we like to be 33% or less, as far as giving up conversions, and so that's kind of our benchmarks on those two statistics.
Coach, Travis just completed 11 passes and 5 for touchdowns. Can you talk about that? No takeaways.
Yeah, like I said at the very beginning, very efficient. And that's what the quarterback position's all about, is being efficient, distributing the ball, taking care of the football, and moving the chains, getting your team in the end zone. And that's what Travis has done, exactly that in the first 2 ball games.
Can you talk about Kenneth Scott a little bit? He obviously had a big game, and he's back, I guess.
Yeah, Kenneth's back. It's probably his best game as a Ute, at least in my recollection. I can't recall a game where he's been more productive than he was Saturday. Did a great job catching the football. In fact, all our receivers had 0 drops in the game, which was outstanding. And Kenneth was a big part of our success, our reason for success on Saturday, and made some key plays for us. And it's great to have him back. Can't overemphasize how good it is to have him back with us.
And last thing, I know you have a model that you usually follow on bye weeks and that, but has it been tweaked a little bit, obviously, since you moved to the Pac-12 and the competition's a little higher in that?
No, not at all. We still try to balance rest time and downtime with practice time, and so we're going to do the same thing that we've done in most every year. One little change is instead of practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll give them a day off in between the Wednesday and Friday practice and get a lift in. And so I think when you look at the week as a whole, it'll really entail the same routine, just a little bit different timing of it.